right, so now we can ease into our panel and do introductions with our American Century staff. If you'd like to say like your role and then like what your major was and what college you went to, and then how long you've been at American Century. And then I don't popcorn. I don't want to
I'll
popcorn.
go first. I actually won't be on the panel. I'm just here to sit in, but I'll introduce myself. I'm Lindsay Cox, and I am a recruiter in our HR department. And I went to the University of Kansas, and I actually just graduated in December. So I've been with American Century since about February.
I can go next. My name is Jennifer Simmons. I'm a financial consultant here at American Century. I've been here for 5 years, and I attended Howard University and also the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Let's see, my favorite color, just kidding. I majored in communications, interpersonal and public communications.
I can go next. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. My name is Jake Adams. I'm an investment representative here at American Century. I recently graduated from the University of Kansas in May of 22. So I've been at American Century for about a year now.
Hi, sorry, I can go next. My name's Kiara Renti. Can you guys hear me all good? All right, awesome. I have been at American Century for 2 years, but this is my first year with the North American Institutional Sales team. I went to UMKC for about a year and then transferred out to Mizzou my sophomore year, and I'm about to be a senior, so I'll be graduating soon with a Bachelor's of Science in Business with an emphasis in management. And I also graduated UA in 2020, so.
I'll take a go at it. Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. So I am Nick Murtis. I am also an investment representative with Jake. We were in the same hiring class, so both August of last year. We've almost been in the role for about a year now, which is exciting, coming up on that year mark. In terms of school, I went to Rockhurst University. Some of you are probably familiar with it. I had a really weird background in terms of schooling. I have a major in psych, criminal justice, and I also have a master's in education. So ending up at American Century was kind of a surprise, but it worked out for the best.
And I'll go next. My name is Josie. I went to UMKC also. It sounds like there's actually quite a few Roos out there, so go Roos for everyone else. My role at American Century is a little odd, but my title is People Project Manager, and I am in our Personal Financial Solutions and Client Operations Department. I've been at American Century for about 4 years now.
All right, can y'all hear me okay? Right, my name is James. I've been with American Century for about 4 years also. I am a portfolio analyst. I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Missouri, Columbia, and I did my master's degree at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. My undergrad is in sport management, and I have my master's of science in finance.
I think I may be the last of the American Century panelists. I thought I would save myself for last because I'm the one that's been here the longest on the panel. My name is Lakeisha Cole, and I currently work in our global institutional area. I am a consultant relations associate. I have been with the firm for almost 19 years coming up here. So I'm sure you can ask me all the questions you want to know about American Century. I have the history. But I will say that I graduated from Park University. My major at the time was finance and my minor was accounting. And I've held several roles here at American Century, so we can talk about that later, but looking forward to this.
Awesome. Oh, I guess I didn't introduce myself. Hello, I'm Maya. So I'm the Alumni Success Program Director at UA Foundation. So I facilitate our summer internship program for our college students. So that's why I'm here. So let's just, and then not, since we have sort of a big-ish panel, so not everyone has to answer, like if you don't feel like you have anything additional to contribute that other people haven't already said. But if you'd like to share like a little bit about like how your career path has led you to your current role. So like how did you get to where you are right now at American Century?
I'll kick us off.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Okay. Me and James are going to be fighting for the mic. Just kidding. So I actually have a pretty non-traditional path. I started in communications. I did radio. Actually, if a lot of you are from Kansas City, so I did like 103.3, and I did radio in middle school and high school. And then when I went to college, I thought I was going to do radio for a career. And then like I decided that that wasn't going to work because I don't even listen to the radio anymore. We all had like, we listened to our phones. This was when aux cords were like very new. So I was like, okay, well, I don't think I want to do radio anymore. So what do I want to do? I was really good at speaking and I really enjoyed talking with folks. So I decided to go just as a broad communications major, and ended up going into nonprofit right out of college. It just happened to be the one of the internships that I had, and I went with it for a full-time role. And then after about 2 years in that, my mentor at the nonprofit really encouraged me to just to go beyond what I was doing, and to find something else that I might be passionate about. And I just knew I like really wanted to help people. And I was also really bad at money. So I was like, well, maybe I can learn to be good at money and then help other people be good at money. And that's literally what brought me to American Century. And so, like, my current job, that is all that I do. I focus on financial plans and I work with individual clients and I help them, basically save for any goals that they have in their life. So that's kind of my roundaway. Started in radio, went to nonprofit, and then decided I really want to help people manage their money and make their dreams come true. Not to be like cliche or anything, but yeah.
My story is a lot like Jennifer's, very, very non-traditional. I was a football player and I knew I wasn't going to the NFL, but I figured I always wanted to stay around sports, hence the sport management major. And when I got out of school, I figured that I would try to go be a sports agent. So I was going to try to go to law school. Um, Went an intern at a law firm fresh out of college, and I determined that, that wasn't for me. But in that experience, I also started, getting my first check. And I realized that being from there in the city, I had no idea what I was doing with money. And so I just kind of educated myself on budgeting and, financial literacy just in general. And with that, I kind of got this idea of like, well, hell, everybody should know this. Like everybody who comes from where I come from should know how to, at least, look at a checkbook and write a check, right? And so my idea was, well, maybe I'll just jump into this field and maybe try to make a career out of it, and then I can go back and give it to my community. So I kind of started off with Edward Jones. It didn't work out because I just didn't have the knowledge base to do it. And so I went off and I became a teacher. And I was a teacher and I was a football coach. And then I still kind of had that itch. And so I went back to school and started to pursue my master's to get back into finance and kind of get that knowledge base. And with that, I got a job at American Century on the phones. Um, I was an investment representative. And then, kind of in my college experience, I started to discover that I liked the analytical side of it more than I liked the sales side, so to speak. So I liked looking at numbers and I liked looking at companies specifically and kind of trying to break them down and figure out what makes them work or what makes them good stocks or what makes them bad stocks. And from that, I decided that I wanted to be an analyst. And about a year and a half into me being on the phones, I kind of was able to get a promotion up to a more investment management role. And so yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me.
I can go next.
All you, Nick. Go right ahead.
All right. Appreciate it, Jake. So my path to American Century, I would say, was pretty traditional. I did graduate in 22 with the master's, and from there, I was kind of just looking for jobs. I knew that I wanted to get in with a great company, which is obviously easier said than done. But actually, Josie, who is also on the panel, was one of the first people to reach out to me. And we had a great phone conversation, and from there, just kind of hit the ground running. So that was about I would say, a 2-month process. And then I ended up starting in August, like I mentioned earlier. So, like I said, very straightforward, right out of school, pretty much, a couple months off, which was great. But I do enjoy working. I enjoy being around good people at the company, and that's how I ended up here.
Nice, Nick. Well, so my path, me and Nick are both just recently graduated from school. So my path is somewhat similar to Nick's. I am originally from Oklahoma City. I went up to KU just kind of on a whim. I ended up playing baseball there. And that's kind of what brought me there. And I didn't really have an idea in mind. I knew that I went to play baseball, and I was just like, well, I'll figure something out on the way. So come, my senior year, I kind of got that hit of reality. I was like, okay, I got to really start looking for my next move as far as my career goes. Um, so I had a friend that worked at American Century and only had great things to say about it, and I'd always had a little bit of an interest in personal finance. I was never great at it, being a high schooler and in college, but slowly just kind of wanted to dive a little deeper into that. And so I actually also spoke with Josie. She was kind of a part of that hiring process, and just got on as an investment rep. And it's been a great opportunity to just kind of learn about the industry. It's been really eye opening. And I was kind of in a boat where I was like, well, I wasn't 100% sure on what I really wanted to do. Kind of like what Jennifer said, she was, really good at, speaking with people and wanted to enhance those communication skills. And I was also a communications major at the University of Kansas. And so being on the phones, it's really been able to, push that skill set and learn more about what it's like to work with clients, especially when it comes to their money. A lot of people, those good conversations come from those topics. So that's kind of my path and how I ended up at American Century. And, I got on board, and it's been great. Unlimited opportunities to really learn, be able to take licensing exams and all that good stuff. So
So I can go next. For me, my career path is kind of a bit earlier than a lot of others. I'm currently still an intern with ACI at American Century, and I graduated UA during the pandemic, and it was just kind of really confusing about where exactly I wanted to go. I didn't exactly even know where I wanted my major to be at. I started off a biochem major, and I was just very headstrong about doctor because that's just like one of the few career paths you get chosen with. It took me about a week to figure out that I was just not really into that. And then I figured out I really just love math and numbers, and I just thought, well, banks. And then I remember after I graduated UA, I was a part of the UA Foundation. And in my fall of my sophomore year, I saw an email about the internship process. And UA does a really good job of sending you internships that relate to your major. And that's when I first saw American Century. And after doing some research, I was just like, there is way more, there's more positions and just way more disciplines that you can follow besides just like banking, or you think of just finances, you think of running a business. And so there's just a lot more avenues you can take, especially when you go into financial management, because in that one company, you can find management, accounting, all the different sectors within business. And so that's one thing that I really liked about being an intern is that I'm not as certain about other people about where I want to go. And so I like that ACI allows me to seek out those different positions and see, do I like marketing more? Do I like management more? And that's one thing that I just am currently figuring out. For my first year of my internship, I also met with Josie, and she also just did a very good job of just making sure that even if you're in one department as an intern, you can get as much just information from any person that you want to. And that's just one thing that I remember. I did a lot of networking and learning about just myself with ACI. And then towards the end of that first year, I was offered an extension, which led to where I am now with Brett. in the institutional side. And so I do hope to work with ACI after graduation and just kind of honestly just keep exploring what I'm into. One thing I do know for sure is I want to work with nonprofits and be a part and create a nonprofit. And ACI is also owned by the Stowers Institute, which is a nonprofit. And so it'd just be nice to kind of run full circle and be a part of something that is also contributing to a greater good, which is something I want to do with my future.
All right, so I'll go next. You guys have heard my name a few times, the last few people, so I think it makes sense. So I feel like a lot of people say it was the non-traditional. I was not expecting to work at American Century. I was actually going to be a veterinarian. So after I learned a little bit more about that career and the expectations I'd have like post graduation, I decided that I was going to switch majors and actually go into business. And it was just at a career fair. I actually met American Century. I think Jennifer was there, and Kirk Bride, who was actually my first manager. And it was like a blizzard day, but we ended up having a great conversation, and I ended up getting hired just shortly after that. And I actually started in processing, which you guys haven't heard about processing yet, but it is kind of the behind the scenes team. That helps our phone reps kind of get everything done for our clients. And of course, we do above and beyond that. And that's where my role started for about a year. And then I went ahead and moved over to the phones, like Nick and Jake and James and Jennifer. So a pretty common path here at American Century. And then I just started doing more and asking for more things above and beyond my current job role because I had aspirations to go into project management. And it was a little difficult to get that experience just with the role that I was in. So my managers were wonderful and actually gave me a lot of additional responsibilities that led to the role that I'm in today, which is not a role that you find in many places. Is that it was actually created for me specifically. So I have a lot of fun in this role, and I'm very grateful for the individuals who kind of talk behind the scenes to make it happen for me. So that's my story.
Is it my turn now? Am I the last one again? Okay. So my path was traditional. I always wanted to be, I would say, not necessarily in finance, but I really wanted to be a CPA originally. Um, in college, I played sports, and I knew as a woman, I probably wasn't going to make it to the WNBA or play professional softball because that's the sports I did. So I had to figure it out. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to be a CPA. But I started to like my finance classes in college. And I loved actually building models and doing things from the investment side. So that's kind of where I steered more towards the finance piece. And once I graduated, one of my first jobs was at Northwestern Mutual, where I was a financial advisor. I did that for a little bit, and I thought, okay, I'm this young girl. Remember, this is like 20 years ago, because you guys are, I've been here a long time. I'm this young girl. Do I really know what I'm doing, trying to invest money for people? I need to really learn about money first. So what I ended up doing was going to, at the time it was called Scudder Investments, and I was on the operations team, dealt with mutual funds, did that for about 2 years, and we were bought out by DST. And I was actually pretty lucky because the day we were bought out, I got the offer at American Century to come and work on being on the phone team. And if you fast, or guess go back, I grew up in Kansas City, and one of the things I always said, we would drive by, my family, we would drive by the plaza and I see the towers, and I would always say, I want to work in those towers, not knowing what it really was, but I knew it was a big building. My parents told me, oh, that's American Century. Well, lo and behold, I really know like this would really happen. So fast forwarding, I come to American Century and on the phone, as you've heard people say, starting on the phones here as a investment rep. best thing ever because I learned so much more, not just about investing, but helping others. And as you've heard others say about stars and giving back, it was just so rewarding, and it still is to this day. Um, I think that that role definitely prepared me for the other roles I had. So I was in that role for a few years, and then I went to our operations team and I worked with the back offices, um, basically making sure that our mutual funds were uh, on platforms for people to invest. And then I put on my analytical role. You've heard this. I think James talked about this. I was a financial analyst for our fund analyst for about 5 years. Loved doing that and just kept networking around the company, meeting new people. The next job I got actually was the job I have now, and I was actually tapped for that job. So kind of what Josie said, something that was created for her. I think the biggest thing for me now is because I deal with so many different areas and my expertise has expanded. So being here for as long as I have has been rewarding because I've had like new roles, kind of new jobs, but with a great company. So that's kind of been my path.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the interns? If not, I have a list, but I want to give y'all a chance. Yeah, go ahead, Paulina. Oh, Paulina says, what makes American Century do different, or what makes American Century different than its competitors? I got you.
I'll take this one. And this probably is the history. I mean, I think everyone on this panel knows, but the fact that Stowers, how we're partnered with Stowers Institute is huge for us. That impact investing, that's what we're known for, especially around the city. And I think you can see how passionate we are. And I mean, even from Key, like she has only been here a couple years and she talks about it and knows Stowers. And it's just from a mutual fund standpoint or any type of investing, I think that you have to understand the fact that we're giving 40% of our profits to something that's bigger than us. And a lot of our clients recognize that and appreciate that. So they know their money is going towards something bigger as well. So that's just my take on the number one thing that makes us different.
I would add to that and say that there is an additional benefit of us being a privately owned company. Um, because it gives us a certain level of flexibility as opposed to a lot of our competitors where they kind of have to meet shareholders' expectations, whereas our shareholders are us, right? We kind of set the standard for how we want to operate, which means that if we find something that's a new project that we want to take on, uh, we kind of have a little bit of freedom to go and do that. And so we're kind of like an ever evolving company where we're always trying new things. Nothing really stays the same. Um, and so that's, one of the biggest differences. And then also, I think we're one of the only asset management companies in the Midwest. Like, I mean, there's not a lot, like most asset management companies are on the East Coast and on the West Coast. And we're one of the only ones in the Midwest. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a differentiation from a cultural standpoint too, uh, because you don't have a lot of that, big city movement, snobby people. Culturally, we're kind of just like a big old family. If you ever get a chance to step into the building, like you kind of just feel it. And so, I think that that's another one of the differences from our competitors also.
Plus, we're such a big, small company. I like to say it that way because it's big enough where you can try out all of these different departments. You can like really figure out where you want to be. Like if you try a job and you don't love it, you don't have to like leave American Century. You could try another job and it could be in a completely different department. So I feel like that's really unique because when I worked at another company prior to American Century, if you didn't like the job you were hired for, they weren't going to let you try anything else. It was like, that's it. If you don't like it, find another company. Whereas American Century, you can literally come in and be like, you know what? I want to do marketing. and that's like a thing. And you can like find projects, and then that builds up your internal resume, and then people are like, yeah, let's give her a shot at marketing. Like, maybe she's great at it. And so I really like that aspect, is like it's small enough where you're gonna know, you can get to know people really well and like really build good connections, but it's big enough where you can try a lot of different roles to find like the right role for you.
And I would like to add on to that. ACI is small enough to where I've been a remote worker for the past 2 years, technically. And there's been times where
Oh, your mic went out, Kira.
I was with ACI, and I remember that when I did go in person, people recognized me by my name, and they would recognize me by seeing each other through WebEx together. And that's one thing that I remember now, is that they remember you and they want to place you in a position to where you are not just an intern, you're not just a coffee runner, you're a person. And so that's one thing that I remembered, and that's what led to me becoming back with ACI. And another thing is that they have these things called BRGs, which are business resource groups. And with that, there's just many different ways you can be an ally for different groups that just isn't, it's a part of the workforce, but other companies don't intend on shining a light on those things. And so I'm a part of the Pride BRG for people who are part of LGBTQ community. I'm a part of Mosaics for African Americans. And there are different ones for just different sort of veterans, and then emerging professionals. And so those are for people who are just like me, don't exactly know what they want to do. It's different positions in life that ACI is willing to help people, and they want you a part of that process. Sorry if you couldn't hear me too well.
Can I just add, so I call her Key because that's how I was introduced to her, was Key. I know it's Kiara. So, but can I just add, I'm loving how she's saying ACI, because you will hear a lot of acronyms at American Century, and ACI, American Century Investments, that's what we say. So she's already ingrained, and I just love it.
I would say, oh,
Sorry.
sorry. I'll be quick. Don't worry. No, but I would say, kind of just piggybacking off of what everyone has said so far. Outside of the external factors like the Stowers Institute and the BRGs, like speaking from like internally, the opportunities that I've been given, Nick would probably say the same, since we've both kind of been introduced to this role fairly recently, is that the opportunities we've been given, as far as if you get into a role and you feel like it's just not for you, because that happens, it happens all the time. And there's so many opportunities at American Century to say, hey, this may not be for me. Is there something, something else, another opportunity out there? And it's very open. You can have those conversations with managers. And we've been given opportunities to study for licensing exams, and it's just all inclusive. There's so many opportunities with American Century from what I've seen so far, in less than a year, almost a year. We're closing in on 1 year, but there's just so many opportunities that you're given whenever you come into a role, and lots of learning opportunities to build skills that you may not have, and be able to kind of push and learn more from ones that you already have built. So.
Okay, great. Um, so other questions. So someone mentioned like going to a career fair, internships have been mentioned, this like entry level investment rep, like phones job that everyone's kind of doing. What do you feel like are like some key things that you did that were like resume builders and like really kind of helped you with like preparing for your current career, because they're all college students, so like they're going to be in the next few years like starting that life journey. So like what are some key things you feel like helped you as part of your career, your overall career journey?
I can take this just a little bit here. So me coming from a completely different background, you know, I do have a couple of degrees, but they have nothing to do with finance whatsoever. So a key thing for me, especially once getting into the industry, was just being patient with myself. Um, I wouldn't consider myself a perfectionist, but I do like to be thorough and do a good job on my work. And immediately when I got here, that wasn't necessarily a possibility. It did take a little bit of time. So just coming into something that's foreign to you, I would say the main thing for me was just being patient and giving myself the time to really learn and grow and develop in my role. So I would say just patience for sure.
I'm gonna jump in. So for my role, um, with the analytical stuff and kind of being in investment management, there is a certain level of technical skills that you have to have. And so for me, getting my master's was super beneficial. That's for anybody who maybe has any aspirations of being in investment management. I would advise that. And then also studying for the CFA was another one of those things that kind of helps. But really, the big thing that kind of helped me make the jump from kind of switching positions to being in sales to being in investment management was building a network. And I think that that applies to any role, right? It's not necessarily just investment management. Um, when I first got to ACI, after I got comfortable with my role, I kind of just jumped out. And if I met somebody in the elevator, I would just ask them what their name was and what they did. And then I would follow up with them, like, you know, maybe the next day, hey, it was nice to meet you. Do you have 15 minutes to grab coffee? I don't even drink coffee, but I was asking people to go drink coffee with me just because I wanted to be able to try to build up my network. And I think that that ultimately helped me be able to advance in my career.
And if you're not someone who just like is it's not if it's not easy for you to just reach out to someone via like like you see them in the elevator and like that might be overwhelming. Something you can also do is just like raise your hand for like different projects. If you're an intern, like the most important thing you can do is make a really great impression by being hungry and humble at the same time, right? Be willing to ask questions. You know, vote on yourself, right? Believe in yourself that you can bring something to the table. You know, it doesn't matter if you've been at the company forever or you're an intern at the company. I got my second role at American Century because I was always raising my hand and saying, "Hey, I'll help out with, you know, college fairs. I'll help out with career fairs. Like, oh, I have this really great idea. Can we try this?" And people notice that. And then when you are given those opportunities to take on like additional projects or, you know, something that you like to do your best every single time. I always tell people like, I don't care if it's an agenda, it's going to be the best agenda you've ever seen. Like if I'm doing it, and that helps you stick out. If you have pride in it, like no matter how small the task is, like don't look at it as something that's small. Like look at it as something that can have like something that can help you make a good impression, because people remember those things and then they will speak about you to other people, and then before you know it, people are like, oh yeah, I love that girl, or oh yeah, I love that guy, or yeah, I love that person. Like they're really humble and hungry and like they like to take on projects, and I think that that is like the number one thing that can set you apart and can help you build a network without you even realizing that you're building a network.
And I think to add on to that, I mean, James and Jennifer said it best, but you're your best advocate. Like at this stage in your career, you have to make an impression, not just for yourself, but think about it as others are always watching you. So by you doing the networking, by you asking the questions, by you being hungry, it's not going to do anything but make yourself a better person, no matter where your career path may take you. But I think also to add on, you have to find mentorship. I think mentorship is so underrated at your age, because if you don't know about it or you hear about it, but you don't actually take advantage of mentorship at a younger age, I think it gets harder for you later, um, because people And it doesn't have to be someone that's like 20 years older than you. It can be someone that is 5 years older than you. It doesn't have to be someone that's actually even in your industry. Just trying to find someone that, number one, is going to advocate for you, but also help you expand your network and provide you career advice to help you grow.
And if I could add on to that for 1 second, is that networking, it always seems like it may be difficult to do, but sometimes it's just as easy as just saying hello. Like for me, my current second year internship, I first met with Lakeisha, and she's not even exactly in the same exact team as my supervisor, but she works in the same department. And so she was one of the first people to just give me so much information, and it just gives you that comfort, and it allows you to understand that you can ask questions that you may be uncomfortable asking your direct supervisor, but hey, this is someone who, at least for me, it's just like I have met someone who looks like me and is in this industry and has been here for a very long time. And so it gives you that confidence that you can feel and do the same exact thing. And that's why afterwards, it's like, you don't always have to meet up in the elevator like other people have said. Sometimes I've asked my supervisors and managers, hey, do you know this person? Is it possible for me to see if I can sit in on a meeting for 10 to 15 minutes? And you don't even always have to have so much prepared. It's just an introduction. Ask them what they do. How did they get to their position? And just getting comfortable within your position, I feel like as an intern allows you to just keep that confidence going and network more and more. And it just gets easier as you go. It's one of those things where you just have to do it to understand it. And at least after my second year, I realized that write down everything you do. For me, at least every day, I write down not just my to-do list, the things that I learned, people I met in meetings, names that I might have heard, and I write those down. That way I can remember if I'm not doing anything, who can I meet to see what other things are within this career path and what other things are there for you, because those people remember you when you go, ask them just, can I meet with you for a second? And that's just one thing I've learned very easily with American Century.
And I'll
Okay.
add a little from a college perspective, because you guys are still in school, so you might not have as many opportunities to do this like in person just yet. I mean, you are doing your internships, but outside of that, when you are back in school, I would definitely try to be as involved as possible. So any of your, fraternities and sororities, they have events that they bring in employers to talk about the companies, and they have job opportunities and internships and all of those things. So definitely like tie into that as much as you possibly can while you're in school, because that's another great way to make those connections. Keep in touch with them on LinkedIn. They're always super happy to continue that network as you are looking for positions outside of school. And look for all those recruiters that are going to the career fairs. Keep in touch with them as well. So those are a few little things you can do to try to prepare yourself for when you're actually going to start your first job.
Okay. Other questions from the audience? We have about 15 or 14 minutes-ish. Oh. Does American Century have any programs that let you explore different departments? So when we talk about that, like internal moving, like how does that work? And is it like a program or does it just happen?
I would say the emerging leaders is a really good way. Like our emerging leaders business resource group is a really good way to get connected because their whole premise, like the whole purpose behind that business resource group is to connect you with other career paths within American Century. So they're going to help you get skills. And that's like a more formalized structure where they have events like, hey, come and learn about, investment management, or come meet this person who's gone through these different career fields. So that's like a really formal way, is to like just join our business resource group for emerging professionals, because you'll get a lot of content related to other departments and learning things. I think there's some other things that they do in the contact center now, which is the phone jobs that we all pretty much started on the phones. So that's like a natural way, is that you never know what department people will go to. Like in your class, if you start on the phones, people go to a lot of different departments. So I would say, honestly, the informal way is a really great way to learn about other departments. It's just meeting friends, like asking them what they're doing now, because you all might start in one type of, you know, career or one type of position, and then it will spider web out and you'll just be like shocked when you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you worked in that department. Tell me more about it. So yes, there are formal ways, but definitely the informal ways of just keeping in touch with everyone that's in your class is a really great way to learn about what everyone's doing. And you'll get the real, like the real tea from your friends, right? They'll say like, no, nah, don't join this one. Like, this ain't for you. Or yeah, this is great. Come join it. I love it.
And I think one thing that you mentioned, Jennifer, I know emerging professionals, and that's one of our BRGs that we advocate for. I'm not sure if this was actually rolled out, but I know they were trying to do job shadowing. So that is something that would help answer that question. And that would allow you to say, okay, if I want to see, you know, I'm on the phones, but I want to see what James Brown does when he's doing his CPMA work. I want to job shadow him for a week. I know they're trying to enhance that. So I think it's coming. I don't know if it's actually out there just yet, but I'm pushing for that because that's something I would have loved to have done coming out of school. So.
And one thing I'll add is people do this in a very informal manner. So honestly, if you have an area of interest and you just talk to your manager for a connection, they'll give you a name. And everyone at American Century is more than happy to meet with you and sit in and share their career with you. There's never been a person that said no to me, and I help with our interns, and they are always super excited to meet them at all levels of the company. And that definitely stems for all of our full-time employees as well.
Yeah, Nick and I are actually on a team right now that's working with our new hires. So people that, you know, get hired in and come in as phone reps. And so we're setting up like sit-ins, so opportunities for people that just get hired on and they get to go around just as a part of kind of learning different areas or departments of American Century as a new hire. And you get to go in and just sit in for an hour and ask any questions. You can always, you know, everyone that you meet with is always really open to, you know, answering questions about their role, about their day to day, about their team, really anything. So there's a lot of opportunities like that, especially, you know, if you were just as you were hired on, just to learn more about other areas of the business. So there are definitely, like Josie and everyone else had said, lots of opportunities, and no one will really ever say no. I mean, it feels like you could reach out to the CEO and say, hey, can I come hang out with you? Like, I don't know how realistic that is, but I'm sure JT wouldn't mind it. But pretty cool how there's a lot of open opportunities, and you know, you hardly will ever find anyone that'll say no, they're busy. So
Another question, what is the people of color percentage? So kind of like that diversity breakdown of the company, if anyone knows.
Can I don't know, Lindsay might know, but can I make an observation? I think what Paulina is doing is kind of one of those ways where you really like advancing your career. Because right now, I'm gonna leave this and I'm gonna remember her name. So that's just like a big shout out to Paulina for just coming prepared with questions. And even if she wasn't prepared, just stepping up and kind of putting herself out there and asking questions. I think that that's, you know, brave and also just good on a good habit to have as you try to progress in your career.
I don't know the exact number, but I do know our PFSCO department does try to track some of that on hiring. And we had a goal last year of 50%. And we did exceed that goal between people of color and women. So that was a huge, great thing that we could do for our entry level employees. And of course, I'm sure there is an aspect of this for company wide, but that is definitely an HR question. So I don't have that direct answer, but it's a really great question.
In my role, we speak to higher profile clients and consultants, and we get asked that question a lot. So when it comes to our DE&I efforts, um, I don't have the exact number either. Again, Lindsay, I think we're all relying on you, but I think what we like to at least tout ourselves for is that we're improving and trying to increase that number. And I will attest as minority, also woman, um, you can tell from a culture standpoint, it's getting noticed. And I know that American Century is doing what they can to attract people of color. And by asking that question, that's good because obviously it's important and it should be. Um, so I think that we are increasing numbers. I just don't have the actual number. So hopefully that helps at least somewhat answer it.
Okay. Other questions from the interns in our last handful of minutes? Okay. Let's kind of end on a, like that key piece of advice. Like, what is like one thing that you would say to a college student that's, just trying to figure this whole life thing out? Like, what's one big key piece of advice that you want to share? And to just other people that aren't in college, but they're just still trying to figure it out, also helpful.
Bet on yourself. I'm gonna keep it short and simple, but bet on yourself. Be willing to take chances. Um, One of the great things about being young is if you fail, you got time to recover. Matter of fact, you got time to recover, I don't know, 10, 15, 20. Hopefully you don't have to recover that many times. But like you have all the chances in the world to try things, decide that you don't want to do it, and go do something different. So just bet on yourself and don't feel like you aren't moving fast enough or you're not keeping up with somebody that you see doing some other stuff. Um, you'll be all right. You got time.
Yeah, I would say yes. Like even when it's scary, just say yes and try things because I would literally not, this is my dream job. My dream job, and I had no idea about it in college. I had no idea about it when I graduated college. Like I found this career path and it came to me from just trying new things and saying yes. And even when it scared me to say yes, because I'm like, I don't know, kind of goes back to what James said. I just betted on myself, fake it till you make it and you will make it. Like we're all out here faking it till we making it. And then once you make it, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I made it. So yeah, definitely just say yes to things. Even, if it scares you, you'll be surprised what you will learn through failure and success. So definitely, you know, look at life and just say, you know what, I'm gonna try it.
I would say something, and speaking from like just kind of entering a role, never be afraid to ask questions. I know sometimes you get into a role or, you're still in school trying to figure out what you want to do, but there really is no such thing as a dumb question. Like, don't be afraid to, you don't have to feel like you are supposed to know it all or you have to have it all, figured out. Definitely just don't ever be afraid to ask questions, even if it feels like it may not be relevant or I think it's always good to take that and run with it. It's just always just ask the question. If you don't know it, if you don't understand it, whatever it is, asking that question may be the next step to the next stage of your career or in life. So
I would say for me, I mentioned patience earlier, but from personal experience, I came from this athletics background in school, and going from a schedule like that to more of a professional and set schedule was something that was very difficult for me. So that transition period from, waking up at 10 every day to waking up at I wake up at 6:55 every day. So developing somewhat of a routine and working on time management, that's something that really really resonated with me, and I had to work on that a lot. Now it's just second nature, but I would say in terms of advice, Those would be two things that definitely pertain to me.
I would say be somewhere that makes you want to, like, makes you feel wanted as the person that you are in this moment. So I would say like a year ago when ACI invited me and I applied and I was accepted, I was a completely different person than who I am now. And I didn't know exactly who I wanted to be career-wise. And I just wasn't even sure of my interests. And that's one thing that I would say, be somewhere where not only will they take you as the person you are, but want to improve you. And ACI not only just takes you in as a new intern, freshly, not even understanding half of the things that they say, and then once you're there you just start to gain more. They want you to improve, and they give you opportunities such as if you're going to be a CFA, which is a chartered financial analyst, or maybe want to get your MBA, they have opportunities where they will help you get into those positions and help you. And so I say make sure that you want to be somewhere that has the same values as you too. And so like the BRGs with the Pride BRGs and Mosaics, they're not shy about shining on different struggles in minority groups. And so they're willing to put a light on you in different ways, not just as a worker or an intern. And so, yeah, make sure they label you as someone bigger than what a lot of places will do.
I would say a few things that really helped me and my career flourish was being really open and honest with my managers. So just having conversations about where I see myself and the passions that I have, then they will fight for you and help you get to that point. And then that what kind of goes along with that is just like there's going to be opportunities that come your way, and early in your career, I would definitely just say yes. Like just keep saying yes, keep taking on those opportunities. And once you get experience, you get to the place you're happy at, then you can stop. Then you can say, you know what, I'm good. But early on, I would definitely just say yes because it's going to keep you so open, and you're never going to know where your career is really going to take you from that point forward. And you'll end up in a place like Jennifer where she never thought she would be here, but she's thrilled. And same for me. I never thought I'd be in a position like this, and I'm very happy with it. So those would be my two thoughts.
Okay, I think it's me, right? From the last one? Yes. Okay. I echo whatever everyone else has said. I couldn't say it better. They took it right out of my mouth, but there's probably a couple of things I can think of for sure. Be intentional, no matter where you are, what setting it is, be intentional. Every moment is an opportunity. And on top of that, you have to also think of failure. We're always going to have failure. Like it's something that's going to happen, but look at failure as an opportunity as well, and reflect on those things in your career. And I think I just think back and I'm like, I'm so thankful that all the things that have been said here, I really took, and at that time when the stage that you're at in your career, if you really embrace those things now, you're going to be so much more successful and ahead of the game later. So everyone has provided so much great advice. So I just say, with all that, be intentional, be present, and reflect and make yourself a better person.
That was great. Thank you all so much. This was really great. This is our last career exploration event of the summer. So thank you all so much for participating and sharing with us your career insights and wisdom and all those great things. Yeah, that's all I have. So we are gonna stay on the Zoom to do like a quick like internship check-in. But thank you all for coming, and hopefully we have some more stuff with you all next summer. So some interns in your office, and maybe we can come tour the office, and we'll have a new group to come talk with you all for next summer. So yeah, thank you all so much.